You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes and non-toking lovers of liberty. It is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Thanks for joining us on this Hemp Day Hump Day. We got a great show coming up for you today, including a very special live guest who is flying in this moment from, actually, she probably just landed about 10 minutes ago at PDX Airport, flying in from Ohio, our good friend Teresa Daniello, who's been working in the state of Ohio, helping medical marijuana patients, specifically the children who are in desperate need of medical marijuana in that state. We'll have Teresa here in the studio, and we'll talk to her probably at the end of the hour. We'll have to kind of adjust things on the fly, seeing on when she gets here into the studio. Also scheduled for today, we've got Doug Fine in our Hemp Day Hump Day update. So we'll tell you what's happening, the latest in industrial hemp information, if we get Doug on the line. Like I say, we're going to be flying by the seat of our pants for this one because we've got a whole bunch of things to coordinate. Let's hope they all come together. But also on today's show, I promised you yesterday I'd take a deep look into the new numbers from the National Survey on Drug Use and Health. Folks, I lied to you. Not because I didn't take a deep look at the numbers, but because I got the wrong source. It's not the National Survey on Drug Use and Health that just came out. It's the Monitoring the Future survey that just came out. This one's been done by the University of Michigan since 1975, tracking the use of drugs among the teens, among the college-age kids, among everybody, and we dug deep into the data today. So in Drug War Data Mining, I'm going to show you why the scare that they're promoting in the headlines today, the big scare is more college kids smoke pot daily than smoke cigarettes. Oh no! We'll show you why that's not really a frightening stat, and the good news that they left out of the reporting on these statistics. Also, we'll have a chance to go behind the headlines today, and in the news today, we're going to be taking a look at the bans that are going on here in the state of Oregon and the latest updates on which cities and counties have decided to ban marijuana licensees under Measure 91, which cities and counties have decided to go ahead with early marijuana sales on October 1st from our dispensaries. We're less than a month away from adults being able to shop at our medical marijuana dispensaries tax-free right here in the state of Oregon. And then stay tuned for Hour 2 Toker Talk Radio. We'll take your calls at 844-207-2346. That's a toll-free line. And keep us sorry, so much going up here in the studio. I'm all confused. I was going to say keeping us honest here at 420 Radio, but I don't know why. Like I say, so much stuff going on right now. I'm kind of behind on all my setup and my preparation. But coming up in Hour 2, we'll also have our daily Toker tunes, and today is Wednesday, so Gordon Green will be giving us some great Irie Wednesday music to talk about. And we'll cover more of the news as it's coming down here. More on the story of Jeff Mizanski in Missouri, the life for pot prisoner who was freed yesterday. We'll take a look and see what he's up to today. And a response from the state of Ohio on the wording of their Issue 3 constitutional amendment to legalize marijuana. All that's coming up on the Russ Belville Show. Thanks for your patience. Oh, it's a crazy day today. We'll be right back.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
This is Robert Platshorn, and you're listening to 420 Radio with Radical Russ Belville.
Imagine life without taxes. Let New Era Certified Public Accountants, NewEraCPAs.com, handle your Cannabis 280E and tax strategy. Get your business prepared with New Era CPA's Cannabis Finance Bootcamp. NewEraCPAs.com. With years of experience in the industry, we are one of the nation's leading accounting firms for growers, dispensaries, and ancillary companies from Washington to California. NewEraCPAs.com.
Hey, I'm Herb Thrasher, host of the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour, live every Friday night at 8 Pacific. Tune in for 2 hours of metal marijuana mayhem featuring exclusive interviews with the latest bands, highlights of live shows, and the latest in marijuana news. It's the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour, Friday nights at 8 p.m. at 420 Radio, or catch the replay on Saturday nights.
Hi, I'm Alex Rogers, producer of the 4th Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference, the OMMBC. There have been a lot of recent changes to Oregon cannabis laws. Recreational sales start October 1st, new licensing from the state, and changes to medical marijuana. Are you prepared? Join us at the downtown Portland Hilton September 12th and 13th with the industry's top cannabis business experts, political leaders, exhibitors, and nightly networking events. For more information, join us online or give us a call. The OMMBC. Be part of history.
It's time for the 420 Radio News, covering the latest headlines in consumer cannabis, medical marijuana, and industrial hemp. Replays of 420 Radio News are embeddable and shareable from our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/RadicalRuss. Now, the marijuana headlines in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. This is your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015. Marijuana legalization is, quote, a terrible idea, end quote, according to Republican presidential candidate and Ohio Governor John Kasich, whose home state will see a pot proposal on the ballot this fall. Quote, it sends mixed messages to young people about drugs, Kasich told MLive.com on Tuesday as he wrapped up a 2-day swing through Michigan. Kasich acknowledged the distinction between marijuana and harder drugs like heroin, but suggested that legalization could cloud the issue for young people, saying, quote, why don't we just say, don't do drugs, period? I would try to discourage states from doing it, end quote, Kasich said when asked how he would respond if elected president. Continuing, quote, hopefully we'll defeat it in Michigan and Ohio, but if states want to do it, I haven't made a final decision. But I would be tempted to say, I don't think we can go and start disrupting what they've decided, end quote. Ballot initiatives from 2 marijuana advocacy groups were approved by the Massachusetts Attorney General on Wednesday, leaving it up to voters to decide whether pot smoking should be legal in the state. The proposals were submitted by the Campaign to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol and the Bay State Repeal. Now the backers must collect and file signatures from more than 64,000 voters by December 2nd. The proposal would then be sent to the legislature in May. If officials do not enact the initiative at that time, then proponents must collect an additional 10,000 signatures by early July to bring it to the ballot box in the November 2016 election. If passed, the proposal would become a state statute. In Massachusetts, 53% of voters told a Suffolk University Boston Herald poll in February that they would favor legalizing marijuana, with just 37% opposing. Missouri's now year-old right to farm amendment won't help a Cole County woman avoid a drug charge, Circuit Judge Dan Green ruled Tuesday. Quote, the conduct alleged in the indictment, even if taken as true, does not give rise to an offense in that the conduct is protected by the Missouri Constitutional Right to Farm Amendment, end quote, Public Defender Justin Carver wrote in his motion filed April 28th. However, Judge Green noted the amendment didn't go into effect until September 4th last year, so Judge Green ruled it wasn't in effect when Carver's client was charged in October 2012. Second, he wrote, quote, the plain language of the amendment establishes a substantive right to farmers and ranchers to engage in traditional farming and ranching. The argument that growing marijuana in a basement constitutes a farming or ranching practice goes way beyond the plain meaning of farming or ranching practice. Simply put, marijuana is not considered a part of Missouri's agriculture, end quote. About 100 marijuana farmers in Paraguay staged a protest on Wednesday against the recent burning of their pot by anti-drug agents. Marijuana is illegal in Paraguay, a poor, landlocked country in the heart of South America that is among the top producers of pot in the region. The farmers demonstrated in their country's northern state of San Pedro. They say the burning of some 345 acres of their marijuana threatens their livelihood. Farmer Gabriel Dos Santos says that he grows pot at the risk of prison because the government doesn't provide his impoverished community with seeds to produce anything else. He criticized the burning, saying the government had wasted money that could have been better spent paving the roads of his community. Paraguay's anti-drug chief Luis Rojas says marijuana is illegal and farmers should choose other crops as sources of income. Denver health officials Tuesday began inspecting and quarantining hundreds of marijuana products because their labels listed pesticides not approved for use on cannabis. The move comes about 6 months after the city quarantined 100,000 plants at 11 grow facilities over concerns about pesticides. Although pesticides are widely used on crops, their use on cannabis remains problematic because no safety standards exist. Marijuana is illegal under federal law, so the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, which regulates pesticides, has never established any limits. The Colorado Department of Agriculture, however, has created a list of pesticides it says can be used. The companies were warned late Monday that the products must be removed from the shelves and destroyed or returned to the manufacturer. This has been your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015. I'm Russ Belville.
The Russ Belville Show. We're as much like Cheech and Chong as ordinary Americans are like the Three Stooges. Hey, Mo!
Oregon has joined Washington and Colorado in legalizing marijuana. We're Portland NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws chapter in Portland, Oregon. Join us as we celebrate the launch of an exciting new era in marijuana freedom in Oregon. Our job has just begun. Powerful interests want to white out the most important portions of Oregon's legalization law. By joining Portland NORML, you add your voice to the thousands who voted for Measure 91 and want it to be implemented as written. The people have spoken. Now it is time for the legislature to obey the will of the people. Find out more about Portland NORML at portlandnormal.org. Attend our monthly membership meetings on the fourth Saturday of the month. See our website for more details. Portland NORML, ensuring responsible adult marijuana consumers are afforded the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities as beer drinkers.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
The Russ Belville Show is proudly sponsored by the Marijuana Business Association. The MJBA, called by NBC News the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, is the fastest growing business association in the fastest growing industry in America. I've been working with the MJBA for years, and I personally invite you to join the MJBA. MJBA also publishes the popular MJ Headline News on Facebook and the MJNewsNetwork.com and Marijuana Channel 1 on YouTube. Visit mjba.net for more details. Today and Behind the Headlines, we're going to take a look at my home state of Oregon, where we continue to evaluate Measure 91 and the subsequent bills that came up after it, giving the cities and counties around the state the right to decide whether or not they will approve marijuana licensees. Good news coming out of our capital, the city of Salem. The Register Guard is reporting today that the Salem City Council has agreed to allow the early sales of recreational marijuana from medical marijuana dispensaries. We haven't covered this as much in depth, but the law that passed that allows the medical marijuana dispensaries to sell to all adults starting just 1 month from now does have a clause that allows the city to decide whether or not that's going to be okay. So it's not automatic that all medical marijuana dispensaries will sell to all adults. Each city has to decide that for themselves. And the city of Salem now has voted to permit the early sales of recreational marijuana from the medical marijuana dispensaries. Now, The Statesman Journal reported that the council's vote Monday would permit the sales beginning October 1st. The current city code only allows those with valid medical marijuana licenses to participate in the early sales. And the mayor, Anna Peterson, was the only one to cast a dissenting vote. The issue will now move to a first reading and a public hearing. So there will still be public hearings throughout the state of Oregon on whether or not the existing medical marijuana dispensary should be allowed to sell to all adults starting October 1st. But this is good news that at least one city is moving forward with allowing this to happen. Now, let me hold on a second, get this typed in. The cities and counties deciding on whether or not to allow marijuana licensees is another situation entirely. This is whether or not the recreational pot shops will be allowed to open and whether or not the recreational licensees will be allowed to flourish in those particular cities and counties. So we're talking about growers, otherwise known as producers, as well as wholesalers, processors, and retailers. So while most people think we're talking about banning pot shops, these votes actually have to do with banning all of the possible licensees under Measure 91 and HB 3400. The website where you can find this information is at marijuana.oregon.gov. And keep in mind also that we have kind of a two-tiered system for how this is going to be decided. The counties in the eastern side of the state that voted more than 55% against the Measure 91 do not have to get a vote from the people to enact their bans. That is to say, if they have banned, it's a ban. It's a go right now. There's not going to be any further discussion on this. These bans are intact right now. And that includes the city of Ontario, Oregon, the cities of Vail and Nissa, Oregon. They don't have to have any vote. Island City and also Jordan Valley, John Day, and the cities of Adrian and Elgin, Oregon, have now all set up bans for all marijuana licensees with no vote of the people necessary to confirm that ban. At the county level, Umatilla County, Harney County, and Malheur County, as well as Crook County, have now all voted to ban licensees. And again, no vote of the people necessary to enact that ban. Those bans exist right now. As far as the cities and counties that have enacted bans that will go before the voters, Douglas County is one county that has enacted a ban that'll go before the voters. The cities of Brownsville and Sandy, as well as Sutherland, Junction City, Cresswell, Sweet Home, and Manzanita will all have bans that will be decided by the voters. Their city councils or county commissions have already decided there should be a ban. It's up to the people to overturn that ban if they want to have licensed marijuana commerce in their city or county. And again, let's emphasize licensed marijuana commerce in their city or county, because unlicensed growing, processing, and selling that has been going on in these places for decades now will continue. And without a licensed outlet, these people will continue to enjoy the proceeds of their illegal operations, and they will have a customer base that is emboldened now because they can possess marijuana legally. And this is one of the things that disturbs me about this Eastern Oregon Compromise, is that when we had the vote on Measure 91, the people were voting whether or not marijuana should be legal, not whether or not they should have licensed marijuana dealers and growers in their city or county. This argument that since they voted against 91 in such great numbers, we shouldn't make them go through another vote to ban licensees misses a very important part of the puzzle, and that is the entire landscape around marijuana has changed since Measure 91 has been voted in. When people in Malheur County, let's say, were voting against Measure 91 at about 65%, there existed no way to legally possess marijuana aside from being a medical marijuana card holder. But now in those counties, you're legal to possess, and all we're doing is encouraging the black market.
Come and see the violence inherent in the system! Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
That means the vote in Malheur County is a different vote now. Now you're voting whether or not there shouldn't be pot shops in a world where it's legal to possess and grow marijuana at home. And that's a completely different argument. Hey, it's 20 after. It's 4:20 in Denver, Colorado, and all throughout the Mountain Time Zone, including Boise, where my Boise State Broncos will be hosting the Washington Huskies this Friday night. Ha ha, go Big Blue!
The Russ Belville Show, providing dictionaries to drug czars since 2009.
The Fingerboard Extension has fretted instruments to enhance your creativity. It has new and used guitars and banjos from beginning to high class. The Fingerboard Extension has National Resophonic, Husson Dalton, Larrabee, Heritage and Recording King guitars, and Mike Ramsey, Wildwood, Gold Tone, and Recording King banjos. The Fingerboard Extension also has drum stuff, used gear, and parts. Stop by the Fingerboard Extension, downtown Corvallis, Oregon at 120 Northwest 2nd, or check out the inventory on the web at fingerboardextension.com and reverb.com. You're listening to 420 Radio. Listen Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific for Marijuana Compassion and Common Sense, podcasting at blogtalkradio.com. Lanny Swerdlow is one of the top nurses in the field of cannabis medicine. Join Lanny and his co-hosts every week as he brings his knowledge and tenacity to Southern California's less weed-friendly areas of San Bernardino and the Inland Empire. Check our online listings for Marijuana Compassion and Common Sense with Lanny Swerdlow from blogtalkradio.com. Get.Buzz. .Buzz is the internet platform that fuels community interest, excitement, and new experiences. .Buzz is the premier online destination for internet users seeking the latest news on a variety of topics. .Buzz appeals to groups active in blogging, communications, journalism, advertising, and marketing. .Buzz offers registrants a stronger alternative to the shrinking namespace of existing top-level domain names, such as .com, .net, and .org. Get your name now at get.buzz. Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining. Today in the Data Mines, we take a look at the Monitoring the Future report, which has come out with its second volume. This volume covers what college students and older adults are doing with their use of drugs and marijuana, and alcohol for that matter. And the headline that we're getting on this has been very, very telling with respect to how the mainstream media likes to portray these things. The headline reads, "Daily marijuana use among U.S. college students, the highest since 1980. This is off the press release from the University of Michigan. And it continues in the document to say, quote, "Daily marijuana use among the nation's college students is on the rise, surpassing daily cigarette smoking for the first time in 2014, end quote. And they say that like it's a bad thing. Folks, whenever I read these scary proclamations in the mainstream media about some source of data, I like to go straight to the source and see it for myself. In this case, it's the Volume 2 of their 2014 monograph. This deals with college students and young adults. They already released Volume 1. That covers 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. And I dug into this data today all the way back to 1975 to get a real look at what's going on here in America. Let's start with their claim about the daily marijuana use versus the daily cigarette use. Indeed, it is true. Daily marijuana use among college students in their first 4 years past high school, right? So we're not counting, people that like me that might go back to school later in life or something. We're talking, the 18 to 22-year-old typical college student, okay? The daily marijuana use among those kids, young adults, is 5.9%. About 1 out of 17 college kids is smoking pot on a daily basis. And this is the largest rate since 1980. Now, in 1980, it was 7.2%. But the reason why so many more undergrads are toking pot than smoking cigarettes
is because the daily smoking rate has declined 351% since 1980. It was 18.3% in 1980. Almost 1 out of 5 college students were smoking pot or smoking cigarettes daily back in 1980, and now it's down to just about 5.2%. From 1 out of 5 to about 1 out of 25? 1 out of 20? That's amazing, isn't it? And let's narrow it down a bit. Since the year 2000, the daily rate of marijuana use among undergrad college students has increased 28.3%. But also since 2000, the daily rate of cigarette use has declined 70.8%. So pot's up 28%, smoking cigs is down about 71%. And this is followed through to the younger kids as well. When we look at the kids that are still in high school and middle school, daily cigarette smoking among 12th, 10th, and 8th graders has declined 67.5%, 77.1%, and 81.1% respectively. That's right, cigarette smoking daily by high school seniors is down by 2/3. And daily marijuana smoking among those grades is down 3.3%, 10.5%, and 23.1% respectively. That's right, 3.3% fewer high school seniors are smoking pot now every day than they did in 2000. So in other words, in the 21st century, as prohibitionists have been warning us about the terrible danger we're sending to kids because we're legalizing marijuana for medical or personal use, daily marijuana use has declined and daily cigarette use has plummeted. But among the undergraduate college kids within 4 years of high school graduation, otherwise known as voting age adults, daily marijuana use increased while daily cigarette use plummeted. The kids are getting a message all right, and that message is there's a time and place for everything, and that place is college. And this trend holds true even when we look at the occasional use of marijuana and cigarettes, not just the daily users, the occasional users or monthly users, as Monitoring the Future puts it, past 30-day use. Since 2000, 12th, 10th, and 8th grade monthly marijuana use is down 1.9, 15.7, and 28.6% respectively. Among the undergrads, monthly marijuana use is up 4%. But among all these people, monthly cigarette smoking has plummeted, down 56.7% for seniors, 69.9% for sophomores, 72.6% for 8th graders, and down 54.3% among the undergrad college students. Now, you might recall that we didn't ticket, fine, arrest, piss test, or rehab any adults who smoke cigarettes in an effort to reduce their cigarette smoking during that time. And since 2000, 4 states have legalized personal marijuana use and 18 states adopted medical marijuana laws. Oh, and as far as the bottle, alcohol use is also down among young people. Daily drinking among 12th, 10th, and 8th grades has fallen 34, 55, and 62%. Monthly drinking is down. The rate of kids who have ever tried alcohol is down. And even among the college kids, drinking is down. In fact, these rates are at the lowest rates for cigarette and alcohol use ever measured. So they got to find something to scare you with. Oh my God, more college kids are smoking daily than smoking cigarettes. But they fail to tell you that when it comes to the 2 legal drugs, alcohol and cigarettes, the use by the young people under the age of 28 is at the lowest recorded levels ever. That sounds like nothing but good news to me. All right, stay tuned, folks. We got Doug Fine and the Hemp Day Hump Day. Also, Teresa Daniello in the studio, flown in from Ohio, and boy, are her arms tired. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show. We'll be right back after this.
You're tuned into The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio. NORMAL stands for Responsible Adult Cannabis Use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks are far less than those posed by legal drugs. Hey everybody, it's Radical Russ here from 420 Radio, inviting you to be like me and get your ink done at Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo, Fort Worth's most female-friendly, clean, sterile, awesome tattoo shop. Thomas and his crew are true artists who can design you a custom piece or use a design you bring in. Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo also offers all styles of tattooing as well as piercings and all-around fun. In the DFW area, stop by Lucky Horseshoe Tattoo and tell them Radical Russ sent you. Trust me, it'll feel awesome. Marijuana legalization also ushers in the return of the American hemp industry. Get the latest news from the author of Hempbound and Too High to Fail, Doug Fine, in our Hemp Day Hump Day Update.
All right, welcome back, everybody. In our Hemp Day Hump Day update, we're on the phone here reaching out to Doug Fine. He's out there in New Mexico at the Goat Ranch. We're not sure if he's going to be able to pick up today, but we're giving it a shot. As you know, Doug Fine is the author of Hempbound and Too High to Fail, the New York Times bestsellers. He joins us every other Wednesday here when he's available, but sometimes it's easier than others to get in touch with Doug. And it seems like
I'm probably, hopefully, either in a hemp field or a river right now. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug.
At the tone, please record your message.
Let's leave a message for Doug.
When you're finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. To leave a callback number, press 5.
Hey. There it is. Hey, Doug Fine, Radical Russ here, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time on a Wednesday, looking for the Hemp Day Hump Day update. If you get a chance, call us back into the studio at 844-207-2346, and we'll learn more about hemp. Thanks, Doug. Talk to you later. All right, we're going to take a break because we've got a guest in studio. Teresa Daniello is here. Say hi, Teresa.
Hello.
Oh, I got to make sure we can hear you. Is that mic on? That mic's not on. All right. Oh, there it is. Now you're on.
Hey, Russ. How you doing?
Hi, Teresa. I'm doing great. We're going to talk Ohio medical marijuana. Folks, we're going to talk medical in Ohio, and then if we got any time left, we probably should, we'll get deeper into the Ohio stuff. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show. Stay tuned. We're back right after the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs. We've got Frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs. We've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com. And follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, the Russ Belville Show presents the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
My friend Nancy's been doing a lot of drugs. Now it's catching up with her. can see it coming. But what can I do? If I like say anything, she'll think I'm not cool. And I don't want to lose a friend. I mean, it's her life. Right.
If you have a friend who's in trouble with drugs, don't just stand there. Do something.
This has been the anti-drug public service announcement of the day. To cure this sort of reefer madness, listen to the Russ Belville Show every weekday on 420radio.org. This is Radical Russ encouraging you to take a look at the Weed Blog every day. Johnny Green and the staff at the Weed Blog are on top of all the latest developments in the fight to end marijuana prohibition nationwide. You can even get the Weed Blog on your smartphone by installing the Weed Blog app for iPhone and Android. If it's about weed, it's on the Weed Blog, including my original writing. So don't delay. Read the Weed Blog today.
This is Joy Beckerman-Maher, and you're listening to 420radio.org.
We must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
That marijuana, pot, grass, whatever you want to call it, is probably the most dangerous drug.
Some think there won't be room for them in jail. We'll make room.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it and didn't inhale.
And one major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Radical Rant. Welcome back, everybody. In this extended Radical Rant segment, we've got a live guest joining us here in the studio. My friend Teresa Daniello has flown in from Ohio. Hello, Teresa.
Hey, Russ. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, and even better now that you're here.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Oh, Portland is such a beautiful city. Your airport is gorgeous, and what an easy flight it was tonight from Ohio.
We have the best airport and the best mass transit, I'd say, of any American city. I fly around a lot and take a lot of mass transit. I will brag Portland up every single day. Now, Ohio, oh my goodness, we got a lot of things going on in Ohio, but I know your background is you've been working with families of these sick kids who, you know, are in the most desperate need of some sort of protection. Tell us what's going on with your world in medical marijuana there in Ohio and what you're trying to work to help these families.
Well, in June of last year, I was asked by some of the families to come back to Ohio to help protect them from the amendment groups. They didn't want their children exploited for anybody to win an amendment. So I stopped working nationally, and I came back to the state of Ohio. And it's been a real challenge. As you know, there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of newbies.
When we mean amendment groups, we mean there's Responsible Ohio with their amendment. There's OTEP. There's ROC, Responsible Ohioans for Cannabis or something. How many are there?
Well, I think there's 4 right now.
4 amendment groups. 4. And 3 of them working for rec and 1 for medical? Or how's that?
Well, I think all 3 of the ones that are working for rec also have a medical component, but Ohio Rights Group is strictly for medical.
Yeah, and Ohio's kind of an interesting situation in that you don't have any medical at this point. Every other state that's gone for legal has had medical first. So these amendment groups are trying to patch a medical and a rec at the same time. And meanwhile, you're working in the legislature trying to get this done. Tell folks about that.
Well, first, Ohio's a very different state when it comes to amendments. Really, when I first jumped in, I was the executive director of a political action committee, and I went through and read the Ohio Revised Code and the Constitution. And what I recognized was, as long as the summary matches the ballot language, and you get the signatures, you're on the ballot. It really is just that easy. So in other words, if it says in the summary, Teresa gets free pot at every store, and the ballot language says Teresa gets free pot at every store, and we get 305,000 people to sign it, and it passes, I get free pot at every store.
I would sign that ballot.
Thank you.
The Teresa gets free pot at every store act of 2015, I'm all for it.
Well, maybe we'll do that in 16,
okay.
But because of that, it can be problematic, because what we're looking at right now is really skipping over the medical and going right to rec, and medical is really taking a back seat. What I've learned since I've been involved in this industry in 2011 from national drug policy reform organizations is that nobody is really focused on educating Ohio's legislature about medical cannabis. cannabis. So when I came back to the state of Ohio in June, I started focusing with the families on educating the legislature. And that's what we've done. They're really listening now.
Well, yeah, and I was mentioning off air how the legislature here is kind of in a similar situation to what we did to our legislature in Oregon when we had our 2012 amendment that failed. We went to the legislature and said, "Hey, look, pass this thing, or else somebody's going to put something on the ballot you don't like." Well, turns out they went and changed it anyway. But that's kind of a similar situation. You could turn to the Ohio legislature and say, "Hey guys, look, you got those 4 amendment groups out of there. If you pass something at the legislative level, you take the wind out of their sails a little bit." Is that going on?
Oh, absolutely. They're listening. They're absolutely listening. And you know, from what I've been observing, Russ, I have not been doing this as long as you, and as long as a lot of the veterans who have been doing this. And again, thank you so much for all the work you've been doing for all these years and holding the space for those of us that are newbies coming in. I mean, I'm a newbie for 5 years, and can even imagine how many newbies are coming in now, and it's crazy. I forgot where I was going with that.
About how you've got this leverage on the legislature now to be able to put something together in a statute rather than an initiative.
Well, when I initially started educating the legislature in 2013, I started with a cabinet level member. And the way I approached them was just strictly talking about the endocannabinoid system, talking about the endocannabinoid system in addiction, the endocannabinoid system in schizophrenia, the endocannabinoid system in, I mean, you name it, right?
Yeah, and talk about, educating your legislators. We were speaking to a doctor, the doctor who wrote the book Stoned, Dr. David Casseret. He came from mainstream and then had a patient bring him some research, educated the doctor. And he was telling me that, about 7 out of 8 doctors don't even get education on the endocannabinoid system in medical school.
Oh, no.
Much less the legislatures.
Well, it's less than 14% of medical schools that even, and that was the first information that I took to the cabinet people. And I started showing them, hey, this is a biological system. Let's skip medical marijuana. Let's not even talk about cannabis. Let's just talk about the endocannabinoid system. And I really caught the attention of a couple of very conservative Republicans. And I really stuck with them. When I first started, again, this journey that I'm on, I attended the Patients Out of Time 2012 conference, and I learned about the endocannabinoid system. And about 3 weeks later, I attended the Republican Party campaign manager training. So when I was at that training, I met, of course, a lot of people, and I think it piqued their interest that there was a girl in there.
And isn't it remarkable that, we could go through and have doctors not know what an endocannabinoid system is? It's like your mechanic not knowing a transmission is.
It's completely illogical.
How can you not treat the person?
As a matter of fact, I was just on the airplane next to a neuropsychologist, and he barely knew anything about the endocannabinoid system, but he is going to the Medical Cannabis Institute to get the education.
Good.
So, you talk to everybody about it.
We spoke to, I also spoke to an attorney in Tacoma this weekend, and he was talking about how he has to talk with the legislature and try to convince them and educate them, and how they have these misconceptions. Like he said, one of the legislators said, well, 99% of medical marijuana is recreational anyway. It's like, gee, where did you pull that number out of the department of your ass? I mean, where's that coming from? Yeah, there's some people abusing it, but it's nowhere near a majority.
Well, I went to Tennessee a couple of months ago with Jacqueline Patterson. You probably know Jacqueline. Yeah. And we saw some propaganda that was being passed around. And, that was some of the information that the propaganda was passing around. Now, again, we're blessed because I've been really working hard at this since 2013, educating our legislature. We just got a bill for Ohio families can out of Legislative Service Commission.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a wonderful bill. There's another organization, which is our sister organization, called Ohio Patients Can. Ohio Patients Can has a comprehensive medical marijuana program. It's a phenomenal program that was crafted in 2011 by some national drug policy reform players and some people from Ohio. And I just went over it again. It's a phenomenal bill. But again, that's a comprehensive bill. And taking a state from where we're at now, which is decrim, you can have 100 grams in Ohio, you get a $100 ticket. But taking us from there to a comprehensive program, it's a little much for anybody to jump into. And I don't blame them for not wanting to jump that far. I mean, I hope they do. Yeah. I really hope they do. But our organization, Ohio Families Can, has a 4-year pilot program. And I'm very pleased with the way the Legislative Service Commission crafted this bill. They obviously did their due diligence. I don't know who is in our Legislative Service Commission, but they did a phenomenal job crafting it. They're working with the American Herbal Products Association for standards. They set up a merit-based application process that's going to be crafted by the Department of Health. It pulls in research universities. So, I'm pretty excited. We know that the legislature leaders are reading it. They're reading both bills, and hopefully they are going to move before November. We need to do something. Here's a number that I discovered while, in my journeys. It was provided to me by Rainbow Babies in Cleveland, and that's 5% of our state-funded Medicaid program are catastrophically ill children, but they're using approximately 50% of our total state-funded Medicaid dollars on their care. So really think about that. First and foremost, what the hell are we doing to these kids, right? And then secondly, if it's such a large number, it only makes common sense that if a half a grain worth of cannabis oil will reduce seizures from 1,000 a day to potentially 1 or 2 a week, not only are we going to help save the family unit from a lot of pain, but we're also going to save a lot of taxpayer dollars. And that's really what the legislature want to hear. They want to hear numbers. And that's a very big number. That's not only a number for the catastrophically ill children. Once we're able to start providing the cannabis oil to the MS patients, the ALS patients, and everybody else that will benefit, I absolutely believe our state-funded Medicaid dollars will go down.
Yeah, there's no reason to not think so. I mean, every indication would be that you'd be saving money. We're speaking with Teresa Daniello. She's in from Ohio. And what's the name of your group, Teresa?
The organization I work with is Ohio Families Can.
Ohio Families Can. And we had a question from our chat room. Speed Limit wanted to know, what's more influential with these legislators, medical promises of cannabis or economic promise of cannabis in general?
From what I've been communicating with them, they really do seem to understand the compassion. They really, really do. So first we talk the compassion. We show them the children. We introduce them to the children. We try not to we really don't put the children in the press. I really want to make sure that I stress that. We have over 60 families with our organization, and you do not see children with catastrophic illness in the press in Ohio.
Yeah, I was noticing that. I mean, when I was following this coming out of the first states to pass the CBD oils, there was almost every state named their act after a particular kid that was kind of like the poster child in the legislature, and that's not the case in your state.
Oh, we don't have a CBD bill because people in our state already knew about the endocannabinoid system, and it's completely illogical to pass a CBD only bill when there's CB1 and CB2 receptors.
Well, that's good. So that was my next question was, a lot of the medical marijuana has gotten more and more restrictive over the years to the point where it's CBD only, or you're not allowed to grow your own plants, or it has to be non-smoked forms. Any of those restrictions?
We are dealing with people who are just learning. Obviously you and I know a lot. A lot of people that are listening to you know a lot. The Ohio Attorney General's office is just learning. The governor's office is just learning. The president of the Senate just learning. Speaker of the House just learning. And for some reason, inhaled cannabis, smoked cannabis scares them.
Yeah.
And okay, well that's all right. But when I remind them that Kathy down in Florida has ALS and smoked cannabis helps dry up her throat.
Kathy Jordan, by the way.
Yeah, Kathy Jordan helps dry up her throat, that perhaps we should not exclude it, but we should look at the scientific research and then make an educated decision. Now, I do have to tell you, Russ, that I'm very proud of something that's happened with our organization.
Okay.
We have a lobbyist.
Oh, good.
Our lobbyist is the former chairman of Health and Aging for 30 years in both the House and the Senate, Lynn Watchman. Unfortunately, one of his family members' children has Dravet syndrome. But because of that, he has had an open mind, and he has been able to learn about the endocannabinoid system and really jump in to understand what's going on with CBD only, what's going on with children's medicine, be it working with Haley's Hope, or Charlotte's Web, or any of the other strains that are out there. And I think that, one of his words to me were, we don't need a monopoly for anything. We don't need a monopoly for strains. We don't need a monopoly for anything. We need to make sure that our patients in the state of Ohio are able to be taken care of with whole plant medicine. And to have a conservative Republican who's been in both the House and the Senate for 30 years come out and say this, it was a very proud moment for me.
Wow, this is good news coming out of the state of Ohio. The legislature there sounds like they're starting to get educated and are willing to look at the possibility of a statutory medical marijuana law for the state of Ohio. And of course, we've got the other things going on in the state of Ohio. You've got the Responsible Ohio thing on the ballot for 2015. You got groups that are still fighting to get on the ballot for 2016. How does this all play out? I mean, if you get what you want out of the legislature statutorily, could these amendments end up wrecking it?
You know, I go back to what I learned when I first jumped in as the ED of a PAC, which is polling. You know, we need to look at the polling numbers. I've asked the legislature to look at the polling numbers. If we pass a medical bill, will the chances of an amendment still pass? You know, I don't know. I think everything is so up in the air right now, and there's so much controversy in our state, and there is just fighting amongst advocates. I mean, I've seen fighting. Listen, I've been in Ohio. I've been seeing fighting among activists for a long time, but the absolute level of dysfunction and I want to say violence.
Vitriol?
About whether Responsible Ohio should pass or not pass. Again, I go back to what I believe is most important. There has not been one organization in the state of Ohio since I've been involved who has been educating our legislature. Everybody wants to be George Washington and pass an amendment. There's no reason. If we have a bunch of individuals in the House and the Senate who say they absolutely believe in medical marijuana, then we should really look at it. Yeah. I have another proud moment for the state of Ohio. Our auditor, David Yost, is a very conservative Republican. I don't know why this is not front page news for marijuana reform, but David Yost, the very conservative Republican, vocally came out for medical marijuana. He also came out for a merit-based application process.
What do you know? Well, this is good stuff because, you mentioned fighting and dysfunction, and I had to live through the 2012 Washington State debacle. There was a huge division among activists then, too, as to I-502, because they had no home grow. It had a per se DUID. People fought a lot about that. And at the time, I thought, wow, once we get this done, there can't ever be another situation as bad as this. And boy, Ohio proved me wrong.
Absolutely, because now we don't just have activists fighting. We have people from every walk of life fighting. And, I think at 502, I was at HempFest. I saw what happened, and I heard and I listened and I learned. Thank you very much, everybody, for teaching me at HempFest and learning about what was right and wrong with your bill. Or was it an amendment or an initiative? It was an initiative.
Yeah, statutory.
It's absolutely insane right now what's happening in our state, and it's very sad because I don't like to point fingers, okay? I really don't. But I can say that in the state of Ohio, between $5 and $8 million, you can run a medical amendment. That's not that much money.
Right.
When you're creating $1 billion industry, $5 to $8 million is not a lot of money. And again, I don't want to point fingers, but it would have been really nice if we were able to address these issues with the usual drug policy reform players prior to where we're at now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have newbies that have come in and figured out the Teresa gets free pot.
That's right.
And as long as that summary matches that ballot language, it can say they own the industry.
That's right. And this is something that the big time national funders and players, this blindsided them. The people that I know in these national organizations, they have their little maps and forecasts for 2016 and 2018 and 2020. Ohio wasn't on any of those maps, not even up through 2020. So they hadn't even considered putting something together. And then next thing you know, you got these Responsible Ohio groups. And the cynic in me, the looking at this cynically, it's brilliant. Like if I wanted to buy an industry, this is freaking brilliant. Write an amendment, write myself in to own the industry, boom, we're good to go. And then ride that national wave of legalization to enrich myself. It's a dastardly thing they've done here in putting this together. And it's the first time we've ever seen an investor-driven initiative. They've always been driven by the 3 billionaires and the activists that they were funding. Mm-hmm. And of course, we all came at it with activist point of view. Let's, free the plant, free the people. These guys are all about making the money. It's a tough situation. I don't envy you being in Ohio having to deal with it.
I tell you, I make a phone call and they all know me now at the State House. They all know me. I just even have to say my first name and they know who we are, which thank goodness, because now they really can say, we really, really feel for your families. We understand what a bad position you're in. And it really is a bad position because, number one, nobody should use dying children to win an amendment. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. And that's why the families pulled themselves out. They didn't want their children to be a part of all of this. Yeah. And I'm very proud of these families and what they've done. And they are working very hard to educate the legislature while their children are having 1,000 seizures a day.
Yeah.
So
how many of these families are, this close to moving to Colorado, Washington, Oregon?
Not only are they this close to moving, there's a lot of, and I'm sure you know about this, CBD companies that are really targeting our families. Our families in the state of Ohio are absolutely 100% being targeted. And if your child was ill and somebody said to you, this could stop your seizures, well, a lot of these families are giving it to their children. Mm-hmm. And, as I've learned, sometimes the CBD stuff has CBD in it, and sometimes it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, when these children get a teeny tiny bit of CBD, there's a glimmer of hope. These seizures stop for about 2 weeks, but then they come back with a vengeance. Mm-hmm. And the families have no guidance as to what they're supposed to do. They can't tell their doctor their children are taking this. All of a sudden, they went through a mail order, they got this stuff, and they're taking it. And it's really very, very sad. It's terrible for these families to have to be in this position. But again, now we have this pilot program that would take care of all catastrophically ill people, not just children. We're really looking at all catastrophically ill people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, how many of these families that you're working with have had the opportunity to actually try, real, CBD medicine, real oils? Any of them made a trip to Colorado and find out what works? And
we have families who have traveled, yes. We have families who have moved. Mm-hmm. I don't like to give too much of that away because, I really I feel very honored to be representing these families, and we don't want anybody's children taken away because they're choosing to use natural medicine or use a dietary supplement, which is how the name changed. You're kidding me. But this is very difficult. We have a lot of families who will not cross that illegal line.
Yeah.
And, I really respect them for that. I had no idea what these families were going through until I started working with them. These children are constantly in pediatric ICU. They're constantly being pumped with drugs. Some of their drugs cost $10,000 a month. Some of them have $2 million worth of bills.
Jeez.
A lot of these families have more than one child, and their youngest child is the one with seizures. So you have other young children watching their brother and sister have seizures constantly. Yeah. You know how ugly this is, yeah. Ross. You understand what it is.
And how anybody can see this and not be moved to pass something in right now. Emergency situation, pass something right now. Help these kids. They don't have time to wait. Teresa, we got about a minute left. Tell folks if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more, and if they want to especially support you guys financially, how can they help out?
Well, first thing I would like to make sure I say on the radio here before we have to go is our governor is running for president. Did I say that loud enough?
Yep.
If you cannot address the issue in the state of Ohio, how do we expect you to address it on a national level? It's time to step up to the plate. His office knows about the endocannabinoid system.
And your governor said marijuana legalization is a terrible idea yesterday.
I wonder if he was talking about the initiative and with that, or the amendment. Let's make sure this is not an initiative. This is an amendment.
Yeah.
And in that amendment, it says anybody over the age of 21 who transfers cannabis to anybody under the age of 21 gets increased child endangerment penalties. The reason I bring this up is because what you were just speaking about.
Yep, they did that here in Oregon as well with our initiative. The only Class C felony that remains for distribution is over 21 distributing to an under 18. And you get a Class C felony.
But you guys are an initiative. As an amendment, that's very different.
That's
you
true.
know that.
That's true. A lot harder to deal with in that situation. Well,
Well, again, do you want me to?
Whoops, nope, that was my fault. Wrong button. That button. There we go. I had to get the closing theme up there, but Teresa, we wish you the best of luck in Ohio. I'm amazed it's even on our radar nationally to be talking about marijuana, but I think you guys will have something medical here in the next couple of years. It's inevitable.
Let's hope the next couple of months. And again, it's Ohio Families Can. Please support us. We're getting ready to start a call-in campaign, and we would love for all the listeners to join in to help show our legislature that we are serious and we are going to get this done.
That's right. You can do it. Ohio Families Can. Check it out. Teresa Daniello, thanks for being here in the studio. And folks, that's all the time we got for today. Stay tuned. The next hour, we've got an hour with Jorge Cervantes. That's right. A whole hour on cultivation information coming up next here on the Russ Belville Show. For Teresa Daniello, I'm Radical Russ from beautiful legal Potland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to start. It's 18 minutes after 2, so it's important. Yeah, for anybody that might need to know who I am, my name is Jorge Cervantes. That's a sobrenombre or a pen name. And my given name is George Van Patten. I had to change my name for a pen name to stay out of jail. And make it across a lot of borders. I used to cross, well, I still do cross a lot of borders. The thing is, I don't know, especially people that are my age or contemporaries, you know how rough we've had it in the past. You know, I mean, I've been in this publicly for 32 years. My good friend over here, Tom Alexander, started a magazine, Seen to Me in Tips, and he was rated back in, well, it was a Green Merchant. That day, lost the magazine, or lost all the advertisers. And we've been duking this stuff out for years. I mean, literally years. And we risked a lot. And I know a lot of people in this room have probably risked a lot. And I'll tell you, it's really great to be here and talk about cannabis openly. There was a guy we talked to earlier today that was from Tennessee, just moved out. And I said, do you grow? And he looks around, and he goes, well, and I said, you can say it, don't worry, you know, you can say it. So it's really nice to be in a legal state, and things are changing, but we've got to pay attention. So now it's legal, we've got a lot more little fights to fight. For example, the gay movement, they are just able to marry right now. Nationally, and they've been fighting for years. The civil rights movement's still going really strong. We're going to face a lot of these same obstacles, you know. So that's pretty much the political end. I'm really good with the growing. Some people call me an expert. I've just done a lot and had a lot of help from a lot of other people. And well, I want to tell you about my new book. This Cannabis Encyclopedia. It's 596 pages. 8.5 by 11 format. It's the sequel to my last book, The Marijuana Horticulture. So, I mean, it's not a sales thing. I just wanted to use it as a base. And the guy who wrote the foreword to the Cannabis Encyclopedia is Vicente Fox. And he was the president of Mexico. And his big thing is he wants to stop killing the children. There's 30 funerals every day. And most of these funerals are for people that are 25 years or younger. And it's pretty hard to see your country go down the tube like that. But the good thing is, Vicente said that he would grow cannabis in Mexico as soon as it is legal. And that's a big thing coming from an ex-president of Mexico. And also, he has the biggest farms in Mexico, in northern Mexico. He's the biggest, well, for example, biggest broccoli grower. And he could change, well, he could change a lot. He already has. But another thing is, a little background, you know, some years back, well, 1964, they discovered the THC molecule, and then some years later, a few years later, they discovered the CBD molecule.